do is just introduce the show like the start of the show, and then just get into it. There's not going to be any bump music or anything. I'm going to edit that in later, and all that.
Walk up song.
Oh,
What's your walk up song? Well, everybody thinks about it. Don't tell me you don't have one.
The Eyes of Texas.
Oh, get out of here! Hey, for a guy that knows every word to the Aggie War hymn, that's not a good answer. So
no, our walk-up song is Triple H's.
Triple H's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Mine would probably be a mariachi song. I love mariachis. Anyway, here we go. Welcome into the Bite Meat Podcast. John Lopez sitting right here. First of all, little business to take care of. I want to thank you guys for really blowing up this podcast. I mean, it's been going great. We're only on our third episode and had some terrific guests and a lot of great feedback. You can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, wherever. I always mention Podbean because that's where we host it. So you can subscribe and get notifications there as the podcasts are downloaded. And it's been a lot of fun. And I promise you today is going to be a lot of fun. A little different because we always talk about on this podcast, it's for every level of pitmaster, if you will, or guys and girls that love to barbecue. Now, that's not to downplay the skills of my next guest, because I know his skills are high, and I'm going to explain that in just a minute, that I know I wanted him on here and why I wanted him on here, and his lovely better half wife, Hannah. Yes, I'm talking about Cal McNair and Hannah McNair. And Cal, but before we get into all the nuts and bolts of barbecue, and I know it's a great passion. I mean, you've got the sickness. You know, I've got two great sicknesses. One is fishing and one is barbecue. So it keeps me out of trouble mostly. But here's I'm gonna start with you, Cal, because this is why I knew I wanted to have you on. When I saw that you have had maybe multiple occasions, but I know at least a couple of times, players from the Houston Texans. By the way, Cal McNair, if you didn't know. And Hannah McNair, owners of the Houston Texans. But when I saw that you have players and coaches over to your house at least a couple of times for barbecue, I'm like, that's a guy that knows how to cook. Because there is no way in hell. I consider myself, and I'm trying to be as humble as possible here. I'm not Aaron Franklin. You know, I'm not that level. I'm not a big time competitive barbecue guy, pitmaster, whatever you want to call it. But I consider myself pretty dang good. I mean, I've got decades of experience. I feel like I can cook every piece of meat that you put in front of me and make it delicious. So I consider myself pretty good. I'd be nervous as hell. I would be nervous as hell if I had D'Amico and all these players and all this administrators and front office personnel over to my house, and I had to cook for them that night. So that's when I knew this dude knows what he's doing. Because he wouldn't, you answer it. I know I wouldn't have had him over unless I had a lot of confidence.
Well, the only one I get nervous cooking for is this one, because she loves my brisket, and I really enjoy cooking it for her. In fact, I have one I'll probably put on tonight and cook it overnight and have it ready for tomorrow. And then actually, once I get it done, then I'll pull it because it'll be done late morning.
Yeah.
And then put on a pork butt. So in the pork butt, we'll have pulled pork in the evening because it takes around 6 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
So pulled pork in the evening along with brisket, and then may grill some chicken and steak, and so I get really nervous that it all comes out well.
Who the heck are we having over with all that? Who are we having over, Hannah, with all that? Just you?
No, we have a teenage boy. We've got boys, and then my family will come over and enjoy it. I typically am the one that carves everything. So Cal pulls it off, and then I carve it and store it and do whatever we do with it.
So we'll put it in the fridge and eat it, for the upcoming week.
That's
what I do. Easier for me for dinners. Yeah.
Yeah, that's easier. Now my wife is a pescatarian, and whenever I'm cooking, which is kind of ironic, I guess, but I'm cooking all kinds of different stuff, she'll come out there and say, man, that smells good. Almost makes me want to eat meat again. And so I'll ask Hannah on this. He's sitting right next to you. He's your husband. He's the love of your life. But I got to believe you would tell him. Yeah, that's where I'm going to stop. I don't want to be too sappy here, but you would tell him, maybe this one, or would you?
I would. I do. He asks me every time I take the first bite, and he'll ask me, how's that one? Sometimes I'll I'll say, I don't know about this cut. This one wasn't as good. But
Yeah.
That's where I
then
look
we'll
like
have
this.
days. Then actually, like, the interesting times are when the weather is bad outside and just keeping the smoker at
Oh,
temperature. And I'm just watching him try to do it all day. And then he'll come in, and that's when he's most stressed about if it's going to be good or not, because keeping the temperature where it needs to be when the weather is bad is probably one of his biggest challenges.
you and me both, brother. I mean, but to me, that's a good setup for my next point I wanted to make with you guys. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and that is, you've got the sickness, as I mentioned earlier, but there's a real technical aspect to doing it the right way. And when the weather's bad, when the wind is blowing, I mean, that's got to be, as she just said, Cal. I mean, that's your biggest challenge. And doesn't that make you? It's reps, man. It makes you a better pitmaster. Just like on the field, it's reps.
It's putting a sort of blanket around the smoker and hoping the blanket doesn't catch fire, and also putting dampeners in the smokestack so you don't get some kind of reverse flow that actually can chill the chamber and put out your fire if it's going the wrong way. And so it's kind of doing all those things, and watching the temperature and hope it stays there. So
see, now people who know and are at the higher level of cooking know exactly right now that you know what you're doing, because those are things that are difficult, and you have to learn how to master. I also think they're asking this, so let me ask you. You've told me a little bit about this, and I've seen your backyard, not your ranch, although fingers crossed. But anyway, what exactly is your setup at your ranch and in your backyard?
Well, I have, a gas grill, which I use a lot. And then I have a pellet smoker, which I use that a lot. And then I have an offset, bigger smoker.
Yeah.
Actually, I have that at each place. And then I have a charcoal grill up at the ranch, which is also one of the favorites. So
It's got a big trailer. I'm sure you've probably seen it. I think actually it was posted in a photo with you and Tex.
Oh yeah, the dog.
But
I didn't know that was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's
badass.
So that's a trailer that he has that has a lot of stuff on it at the ranch, and then he also has you have a pellet at the ranch as well.
So
you have all of them.
I really
at every location.
enjoy smoking on a big offset.
Yes.
But I've gotten a little bit spoiled with the pellet grills that you can put it on and let it run all night, and have a really good brisket late morning. But so one of the things I've been doing lately is I'll put it on the offset for 4 or 5 hours at night, and then right before I go to sleep, wrap it like Franklin does with the butcher paper. Wrap it, put it on the pellet. So then actually the smoke has gotten into it those first couple of 4 hours from the offset, and then you put it on the pellet, and it really holds the temperature really well, and then finishes it up for you.
And it's a better smoke. I'm with you. If I have an entire day, like this weekend, we're going down to the coast. To me, I want the stick burner. I want the stick burner because I like the process. I like fiddling with the fire, getting the fire just right. I'm guessing that's kind of where you fall as well.
So much fun. Yeah. But it takes time and your attention. So you can't go to a baseball game, for 3 or 4 hours and leave your stick smoker unattended, or it's going to be bad results.
So Hannah, when is
me asking me what the temperature is?
Yes, go out and check it. So Hannah, I want to ask you, when does he get irritating? Because it's a sickness, as I said, but a lot of times we get consumed by these things, and you're like, man, I want to go swimming. I want to do, go have dinner. Do you ever give him a hard time about these things?
No, because it benefits me.
She gives me a hard time. She goes, Cal, how come you haven't been grilling this week?
Where's my meat this week? So I'll tell you, one of the things he does, if it's been a stressful football game, Texans football game, the first thing he does is go out in the backyard, light it up. And that's kind of his decompress. Yeah. And so his decompress is going out and standing in front of the grill. And I don't even know if he has anything on the grill or not, but I know that that's his time to just kind of.
You're talking about game day.
I'm talking about game day, like after games.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what he does, and so that's his space.
All right.
And
So good.
I benefit from all the meat cooking. So
We got a good question here. I didn't advertise this, but I have a lot of subscribers, so people are coming in live, and I'm going to post this as a podcast. But Ginja Ninja, whomever that is, thank you for joining in on your own volition. Favorite wood for a stick smoker? Does that vary on what you're cooking?
It can. Usually it's a hickory or an oak.
Mm-hmm. Hickory or oak is it? So how did this come about? How did you get? Everybody can cook a hamburger, and I know you do that every year. I'm assuming you're going to do it again this year at Texans training camp. Some can cook them better than others, but how did this happen? Where you got all in on becoming the best pitmaster you could be?
I think it happened over time where I started grilling actually with my granddad. He really liked to cook chicken. A long time ago over a grill. And so I would go out and grill with him and really enjoyed it. And it just kind of, inched a little bit more every year.
It's an expensive hobby. It's absolutely an expensive hobby. Now, here's the other thing that you have the benefit of, and to a smaller degree, I've had the benefit of. We live in a world where we get to meet a lot of different people from different environments. That's how I got Aaron Franklin on. That's how I got Chris Shepard on. People, or people who know people. You've actually kind of bounced ideas and gotten ideas from guys like Chris Shepard and Aaron Franklin. I believe both of them said that they've crossed paths with you.
Yeah, Chris, we've had a relationship. We've known him for a long time, and he's actually supplied food or had food in the stadium. And Aaron Franklin was here several years ago. I think he was judging an event or part of an event. And so I really enjoyed meeting him here. And we were standing in front of a pit on a trailer. And he goes, well, that's because I was asking him sort of what offset pits that he liked. And he goes, that Jamba right there, he
loves the Jamba. He always talks about that. Yeah.
But now Aaron's making his own pit, which hopefully you talked to him about that. But
I did.
He is so technical and really, he is really into it and very, very smart and sort of scientific, if you will.
Yeah, I very much. In fact, that was the majority of our podcast was talking about the science, behind his craft. They have those new pits of his over at Texas Star Grill Shop, which I know is a partner of the Houston Texans, so you're familiar with them. But like to the point of making sure
him to get another pit.
Yes, I am. It's a little pricey, but
I'd have to trade one in to get one. I think it's got a 1-for-1 trade out of it.
If only I knew a guy that could use another pit. Anyway, there's to the point where he put a damper on one side to make sure the smoke is just perfect, and a little smoke catcher on the other side. To the point of he was fiddling with the smokestack like 2 and 3 inches at a time to make sure it was just the right height to keep the smoke right and everything. So I'm sure you were picking his brain on a lot of these things.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. And like you say, so scientific. And so I like to wrap the briskets in a wrap that he recommended, the butcher paper, the unwaxed butcher paper. But also, there's other guys in Houston. Ronnie Killen is really, really good at smoking, and I've sort of gotten some ideas from him. And of course, Truth is really good here in town. Barbecue, I don't know if you've had them, but
it's right up the street from where I live.
Good and Company and all those guys.
Good and bad.
Yeah, right. But all those guys really make really great barbecue.
So Hannah, what does he do best?
His brisket is my favorite. His chicken is really, really good. His mom actually requests Cal's chicken quite often. I would say the brisket is my favorite.
I cooked some pulled pork the other week, and I couldn't stop.
You cooked it right before we left for Town. Literally, I was like, what am I supposed
What are we going to do with all this?
I think he was getting nervous. I don't know, but he cooked like a tenderloin, 2 whole chickens, 2 briskets, a pulled pork.
Oh, I smoked 2 chickens and then would do chicken breast and
all of this.
tenderloin.
We were leaving the next morning. He goes,
Mhm.
well, your siblings will come over and eat it. I'm like, yeah, they will, but like, what does that do for me?
That doesn't do anything for me. That does nothing for me. Yes. It's funny because at the end of each podcast, the last 10 minutes, we have catchy smoking hot tip of the week, and we're talking about chicken this week with Gus Johnston over at Texas Star Grill Shop. So we talk about whole chicken versus chicken pieces versus wings. Are you talking whole chicken is your best one?
Yeah.
Smoked whole chicken comes out really good. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my best too. That's the only one that I've actually won. I don't do competitions, but occasionally I'll help people.
But then how did you win?
Because I did do a couple just for charity, and I actually won my chicken. So take that, Cal McNair. Anyway,
Accepted.
A little throwdown. Anyway, what are your favorite? I shouldn't say favorite. To me, the very first step that people do can sometimes be wrong. Now, let's help some people out here because obviously we've established that you're really, really good at this. The very first step is picking the meat, and too many people just go wherever and grab whatever, and then they can't figure out why it's not as good as their buddies or Cal's or whatever. So explain why that is so important, because I know it is for you.
That's very fair. The one times I have critiqued some of his things, I'm like, where did you get this meat? I don't like this one.
Exactly. It matters, Cal.
Oh yeah, it totally matters. And I don't know how to without dropping names, but at any rate, Central Market is where we get a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And their meat
Pete's
counter is really, really good.
Yeah.
And Pete's Fine Meats, we get the brisket and the pork butt and some other stuff from them. They are wonderful, and we've known them for Michael for a long time. And so between those two, those are sort of our go-to.
I don't think like Central Market, they don't leave the cap on the brisket.
And I get the brisket from Pete,
does.
because I cook it with a cap.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing is to have that, and you can get burnt ends, and you can cut out that little fat layer that's on the cap side and trim it and all that. That's your job. Do you know you cut the whole thing like a wedge, right? You kind of wedge out that big. Yeah, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. No doubt.
One time I smoked it with that cut out.
Yeah.
And then when I finished smoking it, I cut the cap off, and then I diced it and put it back in a pan with some sauce.
OG sauce, of course.
For another hour. Yeah, OG sauce. And then brought that out, and those little cubes were just like,
the burnt ends.
So good.
Yeah, the burnt ends are people say that's that or
like candy.
Or beef ribs, dino ribs. They say that's the best bite in barbecue. Either a good burnt end or a good dino rib, the big beef pork rib. What's your favorite bite in barbecue?
Well, the dino rib is really fun.
Your
I like
ribs
that
are
too.
good. I forgot. You haven't done I need some ribs.
So y'all are going to be cooking today now. We got you thinking about it.
At least we're not traveling tomorrow, so I can enjoy it.
3, 2, 1 ribs coming up.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1 ribs coming up. No doubt about it. Explain that for the novices.
So I forget. Let's see. You smoke it on its own for 3 hours, and then you get a pan. I get it in the pan. Put it in the pan, and then I'll pour cider over it and foil it and put it back on the smoker for 2 hours, and then you take it out of that and put it directly on the grates, and it sort of finishes it, and they fall off the bone and really, really good.
You can get that real good snap on the top of it and all that stuff. Man, you're gonna make me start cooking tonight. All right. Best and worst. We're putting our egos on the side. Best cook you've ever had. Man, I'm guessing if you really nailed that for your squad, that was a pretty proud moment. But best, and the one where, and I've done this, it's like losing a ball game. It's like when my squad loses. Like if I cook something and I'm like, man, that sucks. That sucks. And I end up putting sausage on there or something just to make up for it.
One time I got in a hurry.
Go ahead.
I got in a hurry on the chicken, and they came out undercooked. So I had to go back. I had to walk them back to the grill with my head hanging down and put them back on the grill.
I've been there. And I get so embarrassed. so embarrassed. How about best? Where you go like nailed it?
Oh,
so many times.
Gosh, I don't know.
So many times. My mouth is now watering. I really.
So I do a
really want some
prime
biscuit right
rib
now.
around Christmas time,
Oh, that was.
Mhm.
and some of those have come out really good. And I go, you know what? Dang, that's pretty darn good. So yeah, the prime rib over the holidays is because
Yeah.
I'm really kind of nervous about that because that is going out to her dad's house, and we
Mhm.
have the whole 30 people eating it, and
That's
30 plus.
At least
And
30, yeah.
And
Yeah.
several people come with a prime rib, and her dad is really good with the prime rib, and he has his own recipe. And
Yeah.
then I'm coming out with mine, hoping it came out well, and then
He definitely won last year.
Ha-
He'll be humble and say, but
having it turn out really good really is kind of fun.
You ever done a whole hog? I did my second one ever for Christmas. You reminded me, and it was spectacular.
I did two. I've done two, and they were really, really good and fun.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're absolutely beautiful when you do it the right way. Outside of ribs and chicken and brisket, which are generally kind of the gold standard here in Texas, what is a more unique thing that you do? I'll just give you some examples. I do a really, really good smoked meatloaf, 1/3 hot Italian sausage, 1/3 80/20 with OG sauce on the last hour. That's really good. I've done some duck, as well. Like what are your outside the box that you would recommend to our listeners here? Like you got to try this because when you smoke it, it's next level.
you've done some short ribs.
Short ribs, and
Mhm.
the big dino ribs. The a rack of lamb is really, really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That can come out really good.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
That's excellent.
mint jelly and yeah, that's
We're all getting hungry.
yeah. Sorry.
Exactly. So, what are your absolute musts in terms of when you're cooking something? And again, I'll give you some hints here of what I like to do whenever I'm smoking meat, cooking, or whatever. Like secrets you swear by. Like mine on my brisket, and I've talked about it on this podcast. A lot of people will spritz it at the end or whatever when you wrap it, and you wrap it real tight on that in that peach paper, butcher paper. I'll put like just a quarter of a beer on each side, not on the brisket, but on each side of the brisket, rather than spritz it. And that yeast and the moisture, that like I will not make a brisket without that. But some of the little secrets, some of the little techniques that you swear by.
I don't know if I could say those. Actually, I do like it, and I haven't done it in a while. Where I've taken the brisket and put it in a large tin, and then
Mhm.
sometimes I'll put beer on there, but sometimes a Coca-Cola, and then put foil over the top.
I've heard that.
But the Coca-Cola gave it a really good flavor,
Mhm.
and of course we at times have used mustard on the top, and then put the seasoning on the mustard, and that really sinks in. But the Coca-Cola, I thought, gave it a really good flavor.
You're reading my mind because that was going to be my next point with you guys. Is I always say this. I don't think any barbecue from different parts of the country is bad, but we're just not conditioned to it. Because in Texas, we're oak, maybe mesquite. We're beef, we're briskets and ribs first. Briskets and chickens first. But over there, they do more pulled pork. They do the clear barbecue sauces, the vinegar-based barbecue sauces and stuff. So Carolina, Kansas City. I know you've had barbecue probably in Memphis. Just your thoughts on why, on those styles and how it hits your palate. Both of you guys.
Welcome to Texas.
Yeah.
I feel like they have
It's
to
really
use
good here.
more sauces to
Yeah.
make theirs as good as ours.
It's a good way to put it. And I did say Memphis on purpose. What's better, Hannah? Tennessee barbecue or Houston barbecue?
Houston.
That is a loaded question.
Now, why is it a loaded question?
Why do you think it's a loaded question? As in Nashville, Tennessee?
Always better in H-Town.
Always better in
Even
H-Town.
if you take it somewhere else, it's still better here.
Yeah. You guys need to get like a H-Town Blue Pit. Get Aaron Franklin to make you one of those. Just to rub it in. I mean, every time you take pictures, you just put a little H-Town Blue Pit right there.
It is cute.
Does he do colors on his pits, or are they black?
I think he will. I think he will. He uses the natural metal, but I think he'll probably do that. A couple more things here, and then I'll let you guys go. By the way, this is fantastic. I'm sure a lot of I'm going to tweet this out and everything. A lot of people are going to listen. I'm sure it's going to be very enlightening. Like, man, yeah, I didn't know that about old Cal and Hannah, especially Cal as far as being the guy behind the pit.
Definitely not me.
Well, hey, don't underestimate slicing. And you got to slice the brisket the right way, which I'm sure you already know.
It is so irritating when you go somewhere and you're like, why did you? Okay.
Yes.
Why'd you cut with the grain? What are you doing?
Thank you. See, you guys know what you're doing. The whole cooking hamburgers at the Texans, and I told you guys, nor do I want to ask you very many Texans questions, but this is barbecue related. That was an idea that, did you think that it was going to take off and be as important for both of you in terms of just the connection with the city as you thought it would? I'll start with Hannah because I know you're there too, but like that's turned into like a real thing to the point where I've had people at training camp ask me what day you're going to be out there to do it. Hannah, did you have an idea that this was going to be, or was it just sort of like organic?
It was a little bit of both. So really, we wanted Houston to get to know Cal. And part of that was showing who he was and, what he likes to do and a little bit about him. And part of that is putting him behind a grill. And so organically, that's where Cal is himself. And at the time, we were just trying to think of ways to show the fan base who he is, but also thank you. And it was kind of one of those ideas.
And Cal, I mean, it's as I said, I mean, you can ruin a hamburger, but it's not hard to cook a hamburger. You were just out there, as Hannah just said, goodwill. Did you have any idea that people are going to be like, hey, Cal, cook me a burger and all that other stuff going on?
No, I thought it would be a one-time deal and a few people would show up, and lo and behold, we've done it 2 years. This will be the 3rd year, and really looking forward to it. And going to have to put in an extra order of burgers because it is growing a little bit every year.
Dude,
it is so hot. I mean, what you don't understand, it's like,
so hot.
Next to that grill in 120-degree weather.
Yeah. So when case in point, the training camp tickets went on sale today at I think 11. They were sold out by 11:20. I mean,
Really?
this squad. Yeah, I searched. I went because I was on the air, and I was like, I wonder how that's going. Oops, they're already sold out. Or most of them were. I mean, I think by now they all are. But
within an hour.
So, yeah, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It was sold out. So kudos to you guys. All right, Cal, last thing before I let you go. And this is just sort of a fun type back in either or, I should say.
Boxers.
You can only yeah.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the question. Sorry about that.
That was the last question.
Oh, okay.
So we've already answered the last question. Ginger or Marianne? No.
Okay, that was funny.
By the way, Marianne all day. Anyway, pellet grill. You can only choose one. Now I know you like them all and you have them all and all that. Pellet grill or offset?
Offset.
Low and slow or hot and fast?
Low and slow.
Yes. I know this answer because I asked you on the air last year. Inject the brisket or don't inject the brisket?
I don't. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Don't do that. Whole chicken or chicken pieces?
Oh, I love a smoked whole chicken.
Mop or don't mop? I guess it depends on the cut of meat, but mop or don't mop in a general sense?
I don't have a mop.
Out of baby. Now I have one for my chicken. I do put some sauce on it at the end.
Award-winning chicken. Award-winning chicken.
Before you say your chicken, you got to say
you got to say my award-winning chicken.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
You didn't say it. We said it. So.
You don't make me turn into CJ Stroud here and start getting really full of myself all of a sudden. By the way, I love that. That's not a criticism. I think that's awesome. His confidence is off the charts. But again, no Texans question.
Embracing it.
Yeah, embracing it. No Texans question. Listen, you guys, I know I've taken up some of your time here, but I do want to say, like, this is something I think that is going to be huge for you to be able to keep doing this. You can have the team over again.
Absolutely.
What are we making?
Same thing.
And that is?
Brisket, chicken, sausage,
ribs.
Man,
Yeah.
got to get on that list. Anyway,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys a lot for coming on. Anything else that you want before I let you go that you wanted to really emphasize, whether it's things that you guys have? I will mention the Texans in this regard because I know you guys are very how important it is to you. Regarding the Texans, upcoming things that fans or soon to be fans need to know, events, promotions. I know you're going to be spending a week in Ohio after the Hall of Fame game, which is going to be kind of cool and literally cool. So just anything that you want to tell all the fans about some of the things you guys got going on.
Well, we got the Hall of Fame game. That'll be exciting. And Andre's induction into the Hall of Fame is really so good for the organization and cannot wait for that. Then we have our premiere event right before the season that starts.
August 29th.
And you can actually bid on having a barbecue dinner at our house with and we have typically had 4 or 5 players show up and just had a really nice time at our house. And so that's where, John, you could be there.
Could be you.
Okay.
Could be you.
Okay. Could be me. Just tell me where to register, man. I think I might be ineligible. Anyway,
really eligible. It just takes money.
I'm ineligible, man. then you just answered your own questions. So, definitely ineligible.
John, now that you've had this full conversation with Cal about food and all that, now you know how he captured my heart.
Yes. Hey, it works both ways. You know, the old wives' tale, the what is it? Going to the secret to a man's heart is his stomach. It works both ways, baby.
Yes, it does.
It works both ways. I didn't ask you. Last thing, sorry. You said
wait. So what? Sorry.
What did you cook me first? Ribeye. Was it a ribeye?
Yeah, we were talking about ribeye, and she said, "Boy, my dad cooks the best ribeye, and he puts some butter on top after he grills it.
Truffle butter."
And I go, I can do that.
Dude. It was a done deal after that.
Here we are.
That's a wrap.
And he kept trying to outdo my dad, and I just would make things up that my dad would cook, and then he would.
What?
There we go. We have some breaking news. He's never cooked the ribeye in his life.
Now she helps me whenever we cook fish. She's sort of in charge on the fish.
Yeah, and don't sleep on vegetables on the grill. They're better than any other way.
Yeah, I love vegetables on the grill.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, next we're going to have the smoking hot tip of the week. That's Cal. That's Hannah. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, J-Lo.
All right, man.